Hello again. This is Brian Copeland talking. Welcome to another edition of Copeland's Corner. Another great panel this week. Greg Proops is back with us once again. Dan St. Paul, good to see you. It's been a while, Dan. Thanks for stepping in at the last minute. We had a fallout, and Dan was kind enough to join us. And Yayne Abeba, who, if you listen to listen to the podcast regularly, or our feed, or you watch us on YouTube, you see her contributions frequently every day. Just about. So welcome, everybody. We got lots to talk about. It's Wednesday. This drops on Thursday, so things may have changed by the time that you hear or you see this. So, but as of today, let's start with this. We are very, very happy about the way things went in Tuesday's election. I just want to start with just a little bit of information first. Here were the polls on Trump as of Monday. The polls that were released. Here's where he stood as of Monday. Okay, according to most of them in general, he has the highest disapproval rating ever. His approval rating is 1 point lower than January 7th. Literally, it's 1 point lower than on January 7th. That's how bad it is. 63% disapprove in the CNN poll, and that's the one that's 1 point higher than the disapproval rating after January 6th. 61 disapprove of his handling of the shutdown. 61 blame him for worsening economic conditions. According to Washington Post, ABC News, and Ipsos poll, 67% believe that the country's headed in the wrong direction. 67%. I mean, you can't find 67% of Americans to agree on anything except for they like dogs. I mean, it's like that. ABC News says that the 67% includes voters from rural, suburban, and urban areas, as well as varying levels of income and varying levels of education. So it's widespread. 64% of Americans say that Trump is going too far in trying to expand the power of the presidency. All polls show that most Americans disapprove of how Trump is handling this long list. 6 in 10 disapprove of the way he's handling the economy, tariffs, Russia and Ukraine relations with other countries, immigration, crime, and the situation with Israel and Gaza. He does not have a majority on any single issue. And they also found that Americans overwhelmingly know, even though he's lied to our faces over and over and over again, say about how tariffs work, the majority of Americans get it, that it's a tax. We're the ones who are paying for the tariffs. Trump's response in writing said in part that these are fake polls from fake news, and quote, "I have the best numbers I have ever had." That was his response. I have the best, and he may very well actually look at these,
in his reality. Yeah,
looking at these numbers. So it was a blowout. It was an absolute blowout yesterday. I expected the Democrats to do well, but not this well. But then again, it should have, after seeing the protest that we saw, the number of people who were at the No Kings rallies. Just quickly, then we'll get to questions. Just a few things. Virginia flipped the governor's race, lieutenant governor and attorney general, and they gained in the state house. Democrats won the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. Alvin Bragg, I love seeing that. Alvin Bragg is now the district attorney of Manhattan. Let's see. Democrats flipped 2 Georgia statewide seats. The GOP effort in Maine to change their voting laws failed. Democrats won the governorship in New Jersey, of course. Mamdani won in New York, and Prop 50 here in California passed. So,
Mississippi. They flipped a red district.
That's right. They did. They sure did. Because because that's the thing this morning, by the way, that Mike Johnson said at his press conference was that, all you had was people in blue states voting blue. We knew that was going to happen. And it's like, no, they flipped seats had an impact in Georgia and in Mississippi and in a couple other red places. So a few questions. The way we do this, if you are just joining us, I ask each comic a question, let them answer, then we all jump in. So, Danny, I'm going to start with you if that's all right. Biden's 2020 campaign, if you recall, was largely based on the theme a return to normalcy. Now, some of the pundits this morning were talking about last night's, the victories last night, where you had like Mamdani winning, you have the first woman governor in Virginia, you have the first Muslim woman lieutenant governor in Virginia. So are the choices that the Democrats and the voters made yesterday a message from the left that they don't want Trump, but they don't want to go back to what was normalcy under the Democrats prior to Trump, that they don't want business as usual, they want something else, because these are candidates that are non-traditional candidates, especially for where it is that they ran. So what do you think? Is it do you agree or do you disagree that they don't want a return to normalcy?
A couple of things. First of all, normalcy is not a real word. Normalcy was quoted by Warren Harding, one of our most corrupt presidents. So maybe it's it's like Bigley, So strange choice of words, but I get the gist of what you're asking. Number two, I unfortunately did not make the No Kings rally. I went to a No Kinks rally because I'm not a fan of Ray Davies at all, and I don't understand why he's gotten as much attention as he. But yeah. Nobody wants what we had. Nobody, and I think this is one of the reasons that Kamala lost. As Kamala would be more of the same. That's what people understood that would happen. People who voted for Biden, okay, this is the way it is under Biden. We're having we had a lot of inflation. Nobody was particularly happy. But we knew that Trump was awful. But something radically different. Mamdani, a social democrat. Somebody's saying free bus rides, and people are taking notice of how screwed up the world can be when you let rich people take over. And I think people are getting that of all stripes. So this might be what we need. To get away from a two-party system, social democrats instead of Democrats. I'm not.
Let me bring Greg in for a minute, and going off that same question. One of the big fears with Mamdani, for example, was whether or not he was going to alienate moderate voters. And so when you have swings that far to the left, I mean, don't the Democrats run that danger? The potential that they're not going to get moderate voters and that they're not going to, I mean, this is basically, we're all pissed off at Trump. We all hate Trump, but under normal circumstances in the normal world, I don't think this would have gone the way it went.
Probably not, but I mean, Cuomo really had no business jumping back in, and he was a known quantity, and he was wretched, and also a complete predator, and everybody knew that. And Curtis Sliwa is like, come on, dudes, that's him too. Sliwa right? It's such a flashback to the 80s, and his wife hated him. I mean, so and Eric Adams, like so many. Let me just say two things quickly. The obsession with who the mayor of New York is a media obsession and an obsession of people in New York. No one else gives a shit. There, I've said it. California, we have a big swing in dick. The reason that we're carrying the rest of the country, I have no idea why we let North Dakota even participate in democracy. I don't want to go to a state where they poke a scorpion until its tail points at the white guy. And secondly, I love Dan like a brother, and I disagree with almost everything he's just said. I think social democrats are a fucking plague on society. I think they're absolutely full of shit. And I think Bernie is the reason why we're here now. One of the main 2 or 3 reasons we're here now. He promised people everything. He gives them nothing. As for Mamdani, I wish him well. I think, and I like to go along with Jamie Harrison, the former chair of the Democratic National Committee, we're the big tent. And that's why I'm a Democrat. I have room in my heart for Mandami. I have room in my heart for Mikey Sherrill. I have room in my heart for Spanberger. I have room in my heart. The reason Kamala Harris lost is multifold. And one of the main reasons is she was Black and her husband was Jewish. So there, I've said that. White people last night, white men and white women, did not vote in the majority for Spanberger or Mikey Sherrill. So just know that. White people are still fucking evil through and through to the core, and it takes more than this to change them.
Can I stop for a second? Can I stop you for a second, just so, since you made that statement, so that those who are listening to us as opposed to watching us know that you're a white man. Okay, now go. I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure.
The other way.
So that's how I feel. To answer your question, I think yes, everybody's ready for everything right now because shit hit the fan. So Dan is right in that regard. As a business as usual, no, it can't be. I think Gavin Newsom proved by taking head on their gerrymandering nonsense and countering it with absolute legislation to redo. And the Proposition 50 didn't just pass. Within 5 minutes of the polls closing in California, it had won. 64% as of whenever the last time I looked this morning, when about 75% of the vote had been counted. And that's a landslide. That is a landslide. Kamala Harris losing by 1.5% is not a landslide or a mandate. 65 to 35 is a landslide. So I think that the rough and tumble way that Newsom took it on is exactly what people are after. The rough and tumble way Mandami shut down Como and Sliwa is what people are after.
By the way, I saw just before we began taping. Welcome to the 20th century. Just before we began recording, is that the California Republican Party has filed a suit in federal court against the to block Proposition 50 and to make sure that it does not go. They're asking that it not go into effect prior to the midterm elections because under the Civil Rights Act, this is what they're using. It relies on race. That race is a factor in terms of Latinos and Hispanics is what they use, the government classification. So based upon the fact that they are one of the what would you say, the impetus of that bill and how that bill was crafted, that it's unconstitutional. And I think this is under the 13th and 14th Amendment, I think is what they're claiming. So I just thought I would mention that. Newsom has responded and basically, I think he posted and said, go for it or bring it. Something like, he said something like that.
They are the master class in cutting off their nose to spite their face. Because if they file that suit, then that is grounds for the Democrats to use it in Texas, right? Based on what they're doing. It's ridiculous. It's so weird to me that they are a party of people who are like, yeah, I just stabbed you. And then when you stab them back, they're like, how could you stab me? Why would you do that? I wouldn't do that to you, even though I just did. It's just ridiculous. It's just.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, I don't even know the words for it, but it's like they're the party of projection.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, remember when hypocrisy meant something? I mean, if you were a politician, now it seems now that hypocrisy means absolutely nothing and optics mean absolutely nothing. And a perfect example of that is, on Friday of last week, which is the day before 42 million Americans were going to lose their SNAP benefits. Trump held a Gatsby party at Mar-a-Lago, a Gatsby-themed party,
right?
Called, what was it?
It was called A Little Party Never Hurt Nobody. Now, I was trying to let them eat cake party, and they totally just stepped all over my shit.
but the optics of that, and the optics of how Eric Trump came, of course, and and brought his son, and everybody wore costumes, and Eric Trump dressed his son up as money.
Yeah. Wow.
He came to the park. Now, again, people are going to lose their SNAP benefits the next day. So they don't even care about optics. They don't. And what I read today was that in terms of SNAP, the top 5 states that are going to be the most affected are red states. West Virginia is number 1. They're all red states. They're screwing their own constituents and they don't care. So what worries me, because it makes me think, what do they know that we don't know? The reason that they don't care.
Yeah. Well, there was 2015, there was that meeting between Peter Thiel and J.D. Vance on how to advance the MAGA movement post-Trump with a bunch of tech billionaires and hedge fund billionaires. And it was about basically eroding democracy. There was just a story about it in the Daily Beast. It was about eroding democracy and having districts that were run by billionaires instead of us having a say in how our government works. So they have a plan.
Well, let me go to the next question because it kind of ties into that. This one's for you, Greg. Okay, but last night's blowout, okay, including in red states like Georgia and Mississippi, as we mentioned earlier. Do you think that what happened last night is going to make congressional Republicans find their spines, end the shutdown, extend the ACA tax subsidies, or are they going to stay on the same path and go down on the ship with Trump?
I'd like to say that it'll change them. I think that it got to them, that despite what Mike Johnson said and his absolute nonsense press conference this morning, it did get to them. They registered it. Even 47 said this morning at his Senate breakfast that he registered that people weren't happy about what happened and that it was a referendum on him and the shutdown. Will they grow a spine? I sincerely doubt it. I think that they're locked into this sort of suicide death pact, Third Reich thing going on that they've got, and that they're counting on, as you just said, the people of West Virginia West Virginia has a very small Black population, like Vermontish, and the poor people of West Virginia are white, and they don't care if they're hurt beyond all measure, because racism is absolutely the fulcrum upon which everything balances in their lives. They would never say that, but that's in essence what's going on. So as long as they've got that whole card, Peter Thiel's plan and all that things can operate. No other president would have ever gotten away with having a Great Gatsby party after cutting off everyone's food. Yeah. So if it had been Biden or Harris or Clinton or whoever you could think of. But of course, we don't have a functioning media now. We have a bizarre corporate media. We, in essence, are the media, us and social media and the small outlets. I mean, they took up Teen Vogue the other day because Bezos owns Teen Vogue. So the simple answer is no, I don't think it will.
Yeah, not at all.
Will it push them and will it make them afraid? Yes, because what's got to be happening is I'm thinking that Republicans are amongst themselves bitching that if we get to the midterms and we have a midterms, they're going to be brutally rebuffed, particularly if the shutdown carries on longer and the SNAP isn't resolved and the tariffs keep going and all of the awful economy that's going. When rich people are inconvenienced enough by the airlines being a mess, then you'll see that resolved as well. They have to be panicking about it.
Well, they are. They
internally.
Well, I don't know if you read the report that after the press was kicked out of that breakfast this morning with the Republican Senate and with Trump, that Trump went ballistic and demanded that they, in his words, nuke the filibuster so that they can end the shutdown unilaterally without a single Democratic vote. And there are a lot. In fact, he got into an argument with Lindsey Graham, who's saying we're not doing that. And with John Thune, who says, we're not doing that. We don't have the votes. And we don't want to be in a position and they said, when we are not in power. And the Democrats can easily, with 51 votes, pass their agenda. So no, that's not happening. But that's what he thinks is their way out. Is that. And just one more thing you mentioned about West Virginia. I have someone very close to me who was raised in West Virginia. And what you said about, how it is that they feel with the racism, how they won't say it out loud. My friend says that they say it out loud quite frequently and that they have no problem whatsoever saying it out loud. So, there were a couple of Democrats, I'm told, but they're more Dixiecrats. They're the holdovers from when Democrats were in favor of segregation. They're like those kind of Democrats. Dan, your thoughts do you think that this is going to register in any way? You know, is after 100 days, the House of Representatives has been out for 100 days, full pay, full benefits to do nothing. To do absolutely nothing.
I think more importantly, we discussed the SNAP ending, but what about the ACA? When those people begin to get those bills and see how much their health care costs, I think it's going to have a much bigger impact than anything that happened yesterday or SNAP for that matter, because they're trying. I mean, at least there's local agencies and state-funded agencies that can help get food to people. But healthcare is a whole different bag. And I think that's when the shit's going to hit the fan. So I'm interested to see what happens there. With regards to what Greg said about social democracy and that it won't work under, I'm beginning to see. I mean, for me personally, I look at Europe, and every country, almost every country in Europe is a social democracy, right? Healthcare is paid for, university is paid for. It all comes from tax dollars, a progressive tax structure. We shit canned that a while ago, like, I don't know, what, the late 60s, the 70s, do you think that the public is maybe at this point ready to go back to having billionaires paying their fair share? I mean, do you think that can happen? That this referendum that happened yesterday might be proof of that? What do you think?
Well, here's the thing you got to keep in mind too, and that is what the tax rate would be when you talk about fair share. I mean, for example, when you go back to the night, they love the 50s. When you poll them and you ask them when America was last great, MAGA, they'll tell you the 1950s. Well, in the 1950s, they had a 90% tax bracket,
right?
In the 1950s that paid for a lot of stuff. But the thing, here's the thing that caps my ass is that you have billionaires who have no problem kicking in on this $300 million ballroom. You have some anonymous billionaire whose identity we do not know, who wrote a check for $130 million to pay the military for one day. That's what it costs to pay the military for one day. Right. Okay, but if you ask him to take that $130 million and pay it in taxes that are going to help their fellow citizens, they'll fight to the death for that.
Right.
Well, that was for government contracts, right? That ballroom money was for future government contracts. It wasn't so that they wouldn't have to pay as many taxes. It was for more money for themselves in the future. That's how
it's all to ingratiate
contracts. But one thing that I keep thinking about is that Mandani, I may have said his name. Shame on me as a Yayne Abeba, but he got a lot of MAGA voters. A lot of Trump supporters voted for him. So
really?
A lot of the Trump base in New York voted for him because they resonated with his message. Mm-hmm. And that should be telling to the GOP that they think they have these people in their pocket. They think they're stupid, but the populist message, the Bernie message, is what resonates with them the most, right? So, of course, they were willing to overlook the fact that he is a Muslim, that he is brown, because he is talking about the things that impact their everyday lives. Mm-hmm. And Trump is saying he cares about that stuff, but his actions are showing that he just wants them to eat cake. He could care less about them, that he's all about Bezos and these awkward ketamine dosing weirdos who just want government contracts and don't care about humanity and care more about the Antichrist than they do about people.
Well, when Caroline Leavitt said, I think it was last week. I think it was last week that Caroline Leavitt said that, and this is a quote that Donald Trump's number one priority right now is the ballroom. Yep. How do you say that with what's going on in Gaza and Ukraine?
And distracted so that Stephen Baby Goebbels Miller can enact his agenda because he's the one who's in charge of everything.
Right.
He's the one who's creating these policies. He's the one who's telling Noam to send her people out and be as brutal as possible because he wants violence so that they can declare martial law and create a dictatorship so that Peter Thiel and J.D. Vance can get what they want, which is the end of democracy and billionaire oligarchy rule.
Let me ask you guys this. Let me throw this out because with comparison, there's so many Hitler and Third Reich comparisons that have been going on for months now, and every day it's whether you want to disagree or not. If you're honest, you'll look at what's going on and the fact that ISIS is now the Gestapo, and it's closer and closer and closer. We're not at Holocaust level, thank God, but we sure as hell have concentration camps in this.
And where are the people from Alligator Alcatraz? Where did they go? What happened to them?
That's right. Yeah, and all the people who were being disappeared, and blowing up boats of fishermen. Let's play this whole thing out, okay? Since we're making the Hitler and the Third Reich comparison. After Hitler was dead, and they arrested who they could find, they put them on trial for war crimes. If, in fact, this were to go to a war crime trial, in your opinion, who should be tried? If you had to name names, who would you try?
Put out warrants for Rubio and Hegseth, right? There are warrants out for them for war crimes.
Warrants issued by who?
By the, what do you call it? The ICC? Why am I spacing on that?
The Hague.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I wondered. The Hague.
The International Criminal Court, yeah.
Yes, thank you. They
for what specifically? For the boats?
For the boats. But
those are war crimes.
Yeah. Sure. Stephen Miller as well I think should face By
all means.
And Kristi Noem and Bovino. And Homan.
Yeah.
And I think Kava should also sue Homan for destroying their brand. I mean, I used to eat at Kava. Now I can't. But, it's just, all of them are just, what baffles me the most is, I don't know if we as a country are in shock and people are starting to wake up, but I just don't understand how they're getting away with it. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like foreign governments are the ones who are like, this isn't okay. There needs to be a referendum and sanctions at the United Nations. There needs to be serious action. And I hate to say that because I love my country, but we need more than a slap on the wrist.
Well, we are testing are going to start testing nuclear weapons again, and so the question is, I mean, you could the UN can say issue whatever resolution they want, the Hague can issue whatever warrants they want, but the bottom line is, how do you spank the most powerful nation on earth? How do you hold the most power other than isolating them as a pariah? How do you hold the most powerful nation that's in the history of the world in check? I mean, World War II had us, to come in and to fight against the fascism. Okay, well now we're on the other side. Who's the United States that's going to come in and save us? See, we can't answer that question.
It's an amazing question because it's not going to be from without. We have to do it from within. And it's going to have to be people, and it's going to have to be, like Yanni said, the malaise that's got everybody. At once we're all depressed and defeated. Then yesterday we all feel good again because we saw democracy in action. Mm-hmm. And then now you realize democracy still works, and that it hasn't been destroyed, and that it is an active force in the United States, masked, unmarked, unregulated, violent police running the streets, killing and beating up and renditioning people that aren't white is the most revolting thing that's happened, Yeah. And on another note, though, Brian, and I don't mean to be a cynic, if you weren't a white person, wasn't this the United States every minute of the day until about a year ago?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be like throw a wrench in your point.
In what respect? In what respect?
That if you until the Civil Rights Act, or until the Johnson basically was president, did anyone have any rights that wasn't a white person?
prior to
Did
the
black women get to vote? There
I-
was poll taxes everywhere around the country. They kept people from voting. During the 68 convention, it was found that the police in Chicago rioted and beat the shit out of all the Democratic protesters. I mean, this isn't new. It's just new in the form that we're taking because we're seeing real live Gestapo Nazi tactics on the street, and we all feel a little powerless to stop it. I mean, we know that if the Republicans could stop it tomorrow, literally tomorrow, John Thune and all of them could go, we're not with the program anymore. And that would stop it because he wouldn't be able to, as president, just simply, you see him order these, like you were saying, the nuclear testing. He appealed to the wrong agency the other day about the nuclear testing because they're grossly incompetent. So,
who did he go to, like the FDA?
Yeah, he went to another agency that's not the one that's in charge of nuclear testing.
He went to his Department of War, but the Department of Energy is
right. And by the way, it isn't called the Department of War. That's never been changed. That's just something he said. So a lot of it's a fantasy. I don't know that the outside world is going to save us. I think if there's enough movement in democracy in America, we can save us. I think if Biden had been given 4 more years, or if Kamala had been given 4 years, Trump would be facing serious legal trouble right now and might even be very close to going to jail. Bannon would certainly be in jail. None of the J6ers would be out. What's his name? I blanked on his name. The crypto pervert.
Oh, CZ?
Yeah, that he just pardoned. He would not be pardoned. None of that would be happening, and there would be no Gestapo on the street. So it can go back to that. But we have to re-elect everybody and put in a new government. And here's another question, Brian, to add to the one that you just asked. What if he dies? Because he doesn't look too good. And he's wearing one of those electrical things that you saw the square the other day in the trousers. That is the one that jiggers your heart when your heart has imperfect beating. It's an electrical device. He's also got a urine bag on his leg.
Really? That I didn't know.
Well, I mean, there's pictures of it. And then what about getting an MRI every 6 months? There's no one that does that. Yeah. There's a reason why you get an MRI. Why has he had 2 physicals in the last year? That's a once a year thing, even for an 80-year-old like Biden. His health is not great.
No. And I'll tell you what's going to be weird, by the way, is I'm just fascinated to find out after what's going to happen. After he dies, I am fascinated in anticipation to find out all of the shit that we're going to find out after he's gone. All the things he's done, all the things they hid, all the things they covered up, all the things that were really going on as far as his health. I mean, when you got to wear makeup on your hands because you've got like bruise marks, and your legs, ankles are swollen. It's just, anyway, I'm sorry. Go on. Greg,
well, all I was going to say was, you saw him in Korea the other day, come down that airline, come down off Air Force One, and he was creeping down the stairs as someone who is deathly afraid of gravity. In other words, don't fall, because if you fall, you ain't getting up. The right side is really bad. You've seen it. It's not working. Whether he's had a minor stroke or whatever is going on that they won't tell us, of course. So here's my question to you guys. In my opinion, if he dies, it's killing the head of the snake. It's cutting the head off the snake. This is not a movement that's insanely popular with everybody all the time. It's a movement that the media supports constantly because he's their greatest star that they've created and that the billionaires can really get behind because he's a psychopath with a pen in his hand, and all he has to do is sign the things they want him to sign. He has no knowledge or notion of what's actually what government.
He doesn't read. The guy doesn't read. So what makes you think he reads executive orders?
Right. He reads less than Reagan did. And Reagan, they gave a piece of paper to every morning with 10 bullet points on it, as you recall.
Yeah.
And he doesn't manage that.
He won't even do that.
My question to you guys is, if he croaks, do they fall in line behind J.D. Vance, or is there disarray?
They try. I think they try.
They're trying desperately with all this turning point crap. Nobody likes the couch sexer.
No.
Nobody likes him. Especially nobody likes him. He has the personality of a dirty, wet rag. My apologies to dirty, wet rags. But nobody likes him except maybe his bae, Peter. Besides that, nobody likes him. his
What
wife.
do you think of the picture, by the way? Did you see the picture of him with Kirk's widow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, well, your thoughts on that? Because I was looking, I've seen it a couple of places, and I'm looking at all the posts underneath, and all these women are going, if that were my husband,
Yeah.
I'd been up on the stage whooping her ass. I mean, women were getting violent about it.
There's rumors that Turning Point and all those people, those nationalists, want his wife gone. They want Usha out. She's not a Christian. She's not white. They have a huge problem with her. So they're trying to create this whole scenario because cheating doesn't matter. They may have Christian values, but they support Trump while he's groping women behind his wife's back. I don't think it really matters. And so I think that they have gotten over their skis and they think, well, if Trump can do it, so can we. So they're creating this scenario. I don't even think this is a total hypothesis. I don't even think he is in a genuine marriage with that woman. I think that is a fabricated relationship to advance whatever Peter Thiel has decided he's going to be.
He's an empty vessel. There's a comic whose name escapes me. I met him once about 6 months ago at a show, who is from the town that he writes about in Kentucky in Hillbilly Elegy. Mm-hmm. And he says the people there cannot stand him because he was a tourist. He lived in Ohio. He went to belonged to a golf club, and he would come and visit his grandparents. And then he writes this book that basically says the reason people there are poor is because they're lazy and on oxy. And if they quit taking oxy and they weren't so lazy, they wouldn't be poor. That's actually the gist of it. He can't show his face in that town, but he's an empty vessel. But it's in terms of what happens, it's a cult of personality. This is a cult of personality. Once the personality's gone, they're not going to fall in line. They're going to try real hard to get people to fall in line behind bands. They're going to try, but I just don't see it. I don't see it working. Now, in terms of what happens with his followers, do they go back in the closet and stop saying the N-word out loud? I mean, I don't know. Dan, you're nodding your head.
I don't know. I just don't know. They're desperately trying to keep him alive, or at least looking alive. He's been demented for a long time. In fact, if you really want to know what they're trying to do at the Heritage Foundation, all you have to do, and with these oligarchs, all you have to do is listen to Trump when he's telling what's going to happen. Like when he sat down with the president of El Salvador, and he said, these big giant prisons we're building, we're going to put other people in there too, right? I mean, we're not just Venezuelans or whatever. We're going to put anybody else we want in there, right? He actually said that on camera, and I'm looking like, what the fuck is he talking about? And it's just total fascist, total, and he's completely lost his mind. He's nonsensical, as even more nonsensical. And look at the speech in front of the UN. Can you imagine any president ever going off like that? I mean, people have to be, at this point, even those that are MAGA people have to be wondering, maybe it's time for somebody else. I don't know what's in the mind of those crazy MAGA people, but
if you want to know what they think about Vance, his brother just lost the mayor election in Cincinnati. Really? They reelected the Democrat by 78%. That's how much he won by. Right. That's how the people of Ohio feel about that family.
Well, there's people positioning themselves, I suppose, right? Who's the guy from Missouri?
Hawley.
Hawley.
The Q-tip head,
Cotton, probably.
He looks like a Q-tip. That guy.
What's that?
He looks like a Q-tip.
Yes.
Yeah. Dirty Q-tip.
And his pretend wife.
Yeah, dirty Q-tip, right?
Yeah.
His pretend wife. Stop.
All he needs is a wick on the top of his head.
And I gotta believe people like Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz and all this. They just can't wait for Trump to be gone. But
Lindsey Graham's the
their own
biggest.
political aspirations. They just don't have to work with this stupid ass.
Well, Lindsey Graham, remember how anti-Trump Lindsey Graham was during the primary, and then all of a sudden now they're best buds? I mean, it's like, what's he got on him?
Oh,
I mean,
got a lot.
I mean, because it's an open. I mean, nobody's actually come out and said it, but it's an open secret that
there's got to be something else. Then, I mean, yeah, he's a DL demon queen, to quote the "I've had it" ladies. But allegedly, so is Johnson. Allegedly, so is Hawley. Allegedly, so is half the GOP in Congress at this moment. And I mean, seriously, why is Grindr crashing at
Hello?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. You have to find them all in the same bathhouse.
I used to work at the End Up for Fag Fridays, right? So I know a lot of Queens.
What's the End Up? Back me up for that. What's the End Up?
The End Up is
San Francisco.
Iconic gay club in San Francisco that's been around since the 70s. I used to be like the bitchy girl in the window who told you it was $20 and gave you attitude while smoking a cigarette. That was my job. And I looked good doing it though. But so, I mean, I know I've talked to some gay men who were escorts and, some of them I still keep in touch with, and they go to these conventions. It is a big industry for gay escorts to go to these conservative conventions. They make a lot of money there.
Like CPAC and stuff like that?
CPAC, Turning Point, Republican National Convention. They have all Charlie Kirk's memorial crashed Grindr.
Yeah. That's what I was just going to say, that if you want to see Grindr light up like a pachinko machine, the Charlie Kirk memorial was unbelievable. They're the closetiest group in the world, but of course they are. Of course they are.
Yeah.
They hate trans people who are no threat to anyone. And that's
they're the largest consumers of trans porn.
Yes. I mean, let's be honest. Pedophilia and perversion is the GOP brand.
Well, let me bring this in since you let this happen. This question is for Yayne.
Purportedly. I'm only quoting what Hakeem Jeffries said yesterday.
Well, hang on a sec. Don't go there, because this is Yayne's question. Okay. So your question is, Hakeem Jeffries said the other day that Republicans are running, quote, his words, quote, the pedophile protection program by refusing to allow a vote on the release of the Epstein files. All right. Do you think that assessment is fair, unfair, and why or why not?
1,000%. They are protecting not only Mango Mussolini, they are also protecting a lot of other wealthy, powerful people. Okay, Prince Andrew, we all know he did it. They kind of stripped him of some stuff by putting him in the mansion that's far away from London, but it's still a big ass house, right? But I mean, they're not even swearing in Adelita Grijalva because they know that she is going to vote to release the files. And the one saving grace, and it's so weird that these words are about to come out of my mouth, is Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's not having it. And is just you know what? There's a bunch of rich, powerful people on that list. But it's weird to me that some of the victims are praising Trump.
I've not heard this.
And they voted for Trump.
Virginia Giuffre, who committed suicide, was a Trumpkin.
Yeah, she was too. And at the press conference,
I just got her book. I haven't started it yet.
But I absolutely believe that they are protecting pedophiles and rich, powerful people who donate to their campaigns via super PACs or write direct checks or support them financially in some other way. They are protecting not just Mango Mussolini, not just, as they call him, Kankles McTaco Tits. They are also protecting other wealthy, powerful people.
Right.
But they got to realize, that they can't do this for Johnson cannot keep the House of Representatives out of session forever. He's done it for 100 days to keep from swearing in Grijalva. We know that. But he's not going to be able to do it forever. So what's their end game? How do they think they're going to get out of this? And you've got victims who say, we're going to release our own Epstein files because we were there and we know who else was there. So, I mean, how what's the end game? How do you get out of this?
I don't think they think about that. I think they're in panic mode. I think that they're being threatened. I think that they have their own stuff in their closet that's going to come out if they don't do what Dear Leader says. And I think that they just freak out and just do what your leader says right in the moment. They don't think about the long-term consequences of their actions.
I mean, I read somewhere that in terms of Trump himself, that there were, I think the number I saw was 1,000 FBI agents who were going through and scrubbing the files and trying to scrub his name.
We know that for a fact.
It is a fact. It is 1,000.
That's not a conspiracy. That is a fact.
There's 1,000 to scrub his name from and it's just, and I love the excuses about he didn't go to the island. He didn't have the privilege. Right. He didn't have the privilege to go to the island.
Wasn't he flying around in the Lolita Express for his campaign? Or was that another jet that Epstein?
He was on it a number of times on these other flight logs, something like 9 times.
But the plane he was using, the plane he was using when he was campaigning used to belong to Epstein. Is that right?
Oh, I don't know that. I don't know.
I believe it did. I'm gonna Google that right now. But
so there's a million other things that connect them, and not to mention the way Acosta treated the whole case that went down 15 years ago or whatever. And I mean, this hasn't gone away, and that's what gives me hope to carry on. I really feel like nothing stuck to him. The 34 felony convictions, the rapes, the adjudicated rape. He is an adjudicated rapist. Right. None of that sticks to him. Killing 1 million people during COVID, which I would have thought might have harshed some people's mellow, but white people just really can't seem to get enough of it.
They demonized COVID protection. So, and vaccination so much that that was a badge of courage that he.
Well, the number's 100,000. The estimate is that 100,000 Americans died because of public health information that they withheld deliberately because they thought it was going to make him look bad. But this, but here's the thing: this may not stick. I saw a video of a woman that was floating around on Facebook. And again, who knows if this was for real or not, but wearing a MAGA hat, who was saying, look, okay, we all know what he did. We all know that he's on there, but you know what? Everybody makes mistakes. And we know in his heart that he probably is sorry and probably has contrition. And so it doesn't matter. It was a long time ago.
Wow. And
so I don't know if it was somebody trying to make MAGA look bad or if it was a real, I get the sense that it was for real. Because these are the kind of excuses that are, I mean, they've already tried to defend the indefensible. That, for 10 years, they've been defending the indefensible. Right. So I don't see how this makes any difference, but I want to know who else is on that list. And what excuse do you give? If you accidentally got on that plane one time and went to that island once, not knowing what was going to happen, I'll give you a pass. But if you've gone a bunch of times, if you have gone 7, 8, 9 times, I'm sorry, you're complete. You know what's going on, and you're doing that for a reason.
Or if you complain that someone used to be yours at Mar-a-Lago and Epstein stole them from you.
Yes.
Yes. There's that.
So you don't think that there is an end game? I mean, he's not going to be able to keep the house frozen forever.
It's so weird. Yeah. I mean, it's so weird that sex plays this incredible part in this whole thing, that we're holding up. People are not getting their benefits. All the tragedies, deaths that can happen by this holdout. And just to mention one thing that you mentioned about CPAC and male escorts. Matt Schlapp is an industry unto himself when it comes to to gay hookers. So
or other people's
congregation has no bounds.
There's so much that just, I find myself shaking my head every day. I didn't think it could get worse than it was from 2017 to 2021. I really didn't think it could get any worse. And it did. So was last night an aberration or the beginning of a trend?
The beginning of a trend. I think it's probably the culmination of a lot of frustration. And everybody was waiting for a chance to show, besides protesting, that they don't approve of what's going on. And it's not just in blue states like New Jersey and New York or Virginia at this point. I think it's all over the place.
All right, let me ask you this. The Supreme Court today again being Wednesday, heard arguments on a suit that was filed by some small business groups as well as some state attorney generals in regard to the legality of Trump's tariffs.
Mm-hmm.
And he's using the International Emergency Economic Powers Act that gives the president the power to regulate importation in an emergency.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, you had Amy Coney Barrett, and you had Justice Roberts and others on the right wing of the court who were seriously questioning. With harsh questions, the use of that law, whether or not it was applicable, what the emergency is, and sounding like they're going to go the other way. They say this is the most consequential case that they have heard in years because it will affect presidential power and it will affect the economy. If in fact they decide that no, you can't do this, then the tariffs are all gone. The U.S. has taken in $90 billion. Has $90 billion they're taking in tariff money, and it'll all have to be refunded. It will all have to be refunded. He keeps saying there's trillions and trillions of dollars.
Is it going to be refunded to us?
I think it'll be refunded. I don't know. I'm thinking it's the businesses. I'm thinking in some ways
business is going to refund it to us because what used to cost
we're the ones that paid it.
$dollars at the grocery store now costs me $130. So,
so whenever I buy a bag of coffee beans from the cafe up to from my house, there's a $2 surcharge, because of the tariffs. Well, I guess the big question is this, and that is that the Supreme Court has not ruled against Trump on any significant issue. I checked, and any significant issue at all since before he was elected. With all of this, the president, it's not illegal if the president does it, like Nixon said. So do you think they roll over? Given the questions they were asking, given their tone, given the repercussions here behind this, do they roll over for him again? Because this stops a lot.
This time they might hold the line because tariffs are a different matter, and it's not as much about his actual personal power. I mean, I think you're going to win one every once in a while with them. To answer your question from before about the Nuremberg trials, I think one of the first things you do if you get control of the government again is impeach all the corrupt justices and or expand the court and or combo platter thereof, because Alito and Thomas are pretty scandalously shitty.
Oh, yeah.
And Barrett, Kavanaugh, and Gorsuch are just inches behind them as far as awful.
And they're all connected to the Heritage Foundation and Leonard Leo.
Oh, they were on the list. I mean,
and to go back to Cheney, who we haven't talked about at all.
Right.
The reason why Justice Roberts is Chief Justice and the reason why Alito is on the court is absolutely Cheney. That was W's call.
Right.
And W didn't make any calls.
No,
much like
he didn't.
No, no. Well, I was saying compared to Trump, W was Lincoln compared to Trump. Is how I look at it. He was. I mean, right? Yeah, I think about this all the time. About I have been a Democrat my entire life, and I think about all of the Republican presidential contenders who I have campaigned against and door knocked against and worried about. If Mitt Romney becomes president, this was going to happen to the world. I mean, that's quaint. I look back at these people now. These people weren't dangerous. They might have, cut some taxes in the wrong place, cut some programs, but the Republic wasn't going to be a danger if, John McCain became president or if Bob Dole became president. I never, I will look at opposition a lot differently. I think moving forward, this is something we never thought could happen in America.
No.
So with that, I guess we should take the victory and celebrate, for one day. But see, the other part of me is afraid that they are not going to allow the free elections to happen in November next year. They have been thinking about it, obviously, but especially based on what just happened. Especially based on if we let them vote, we're out. So therefore, we've got to mess with the voting machines. We've got to. I think he's trying to. I read something about him trying to ban, use an executive order to ban mail-in voting. Because of the massive fraud.
Because every state, every locality manages their own elections. It's not the federal government doesn't control elections. So he's going to try to get them to pass a bill that will allow the federal government to control elections. Also, people close to him have bought voting machines, and that's interesting, right? So, but I just think I think that it's going to take, like Californians did yesterday, where he sent people to intimidate people at the polls, and they showed up anyway. It's going to take the American people saying, absolutely not. We are not afraid of you. We will not allow this to happen. So, and it's more than just marching, right? It's more than just going in the streets. That's great that 7 million people showed him how they feel, but now we need to hit them where it hurts the most, right? So there's a national strike coming up starting November 25th. No going to work, no spending money, don't buy anything for Christmas. It is a national boycott. We're going to hit them in the pocketbook because all they care about is money.
But here's the problem. The problem is the problem with that, and I agree with that boycott in principle, but I don't think I'm going to participate because of the fact that there's so many small businesses and so many mom and pop places that are caught up in that net too. If you're not spending any money, if I'm not spending any money, the cafe I just mentioned that is around the corner from my house, that is owned by an independent businesswoman, who worked there as a barista and worked her way up, now owns the place. Then
well, they're not talking about those businesses. They're not talking about the small business, like the woman who owns her own business. And
see, I didn't see the carve out though. And all the stuff I've read, there's no carve out.
They're talking about the big players, like the chain coffee stores, the chain grocery stores.
Amazon.
Go to your farmer's market. Go to your small local grocer instead. Go to Maker's Fair and buy something handmade by a local artisan. That's what they're talking about. Instead of going to the big grocery stores, instead of going to Amazon or Target or Walmart, they're saying hit those people in the pocketbooks because those people are using their billions to mess with our lives.
Right.
And they are the ones dictating this Project 2025 stuff, what is going on in the White House. They are the ones behind it. So those are the people that you hit. The small business owner is the one that you uplift. It's kind of like Small Business Saturday, but for
day after Black Friday. Yeah. So last question. Is there anybody that you're boycotting because of the support of Trump or policies? Me, it's Home Depot. I mean, I was never a fix-it guy anyway. But it's Home Depot. I mean, Hobby Lobby opened next to me, but I don't have any hobbies. So I don't go anywhere. It doesn't really affect me. So I go, fine, I boycott it, But me, it's for me, the big one is Home Depot. Why do I want to give him my money? They had a Home Depot my money to give to Trump. It's not going to happen. So anybody?
I'm trying not to buy from Amazon at all. I mean, I haven't ordered anything for over a year, I think. And when I do order something, I try to order direct from the company. You've seen what the boycott of Target has done. It's really hit them where they hurt. And I couldn't agree more with Yayne that that's the way to do it. Of all people, Chelsea Handler has an enormous list on her social media right now of companies to boycott. And it has reasons why below each company that they've given to the ballroom, that they've for future contracts, that they've supported Trump, that they've done all these different things. And I think that's the only thing on my podcast. That's what I say all the time. The only thing these jokers understand is taking the money away from them, because their money is their power. That's how they accrue everything.
Right.
So I think it's really effective. I'd love to be able to boycott all the airlines, but I can't because I fly for a living.
Yeah, I was going to say, I make a living.
I mean, and then sometimes you're in the middle of nowhere or in rural America, and Starbucks is what passes for cafe society.
Yeah.
So you really don't have another option. And of course, I understand the people who don't have another option. They have to be able to do what they do. But for us, we're not them. I think it's really effective. And I think it brings them to their knees, and it gets their attention more than anything else could. And also, it's given me hope and to see on social media and all around town here in Los Angeles, people confronting ICE agents and taping ICE agents. Right. And making sure that they engage with ICE agents and cursing them out and letting them know that they're pariahs and what they're doing is evil. And it's important. It's important. I hate to go back to the Nazi Germany analogy, but I mean, there we are.
If anything, just viewing that video footage makes you not want to be an ICE agent. If this is what your job's going to be like, people are going to hate you. Then
well, they're masked.
A lot of them can't. They're just basically Proud Boys. And people like that. And
these are all the J6ers.
What was it that John Oliver said about Dean Cain? Dean Cain joining ICE. He's like, there's no reason for Dean Cain to wear a mask. Why is Dean Cain wearing a mask?
Also, you see that
passed the physical though, isn't that
right? They're hiring these giant people, and they're completely underqualified, and they've waived all qualifications. Basically, it's like the Russian army press ganging people into going and emptying the prisons, because that's where we're basically at now.
Yeah.
Let me mention this. Yesterday in Washington, jury selection began in the trial of that man who threw a sandwich
at point blank range.
It went to jury.
Yeah. 37-year-old Sean Dunn, a former DOJ paralegal, was captured on video throwing a salami sub straight at a federal agent's chest. The video went viral last August. And so, he was cussing at the guy, pointing his finger at V1, victim number one, is what they're calling the person who got hit with the sandwich, yelling, "Fuck you, you fucking fascist. Why are you here? I don't want you in my city." So a grand jury subsequently declined to authorize felony charges. They actually tried to put it before a grand jury, or did, and the grand jury said no. So instead, they decided to prosecute him for a misdemeanor, and it's hysterical. Here's a senior editor of Lawfare, Molly Roberts, who was there live tweeting from the proceedings yesterday, and so just here's a couple of things she tweeted. The defense begins with, "He did it. He threw the sandwich." It goes on to argue that the throw was, quote, an exclamation mark at the end of a verbal outburst. The officer, sandwich guy, is charged with assaulting, testifies that he could feel the impact of the sandwich through his ballistic vest, and it exploded all over my uniform. He says he could smell the onions and the mustard. Defense wants gag gifts provided to the officer after the incident included in discovery. One is a plushie sandwich. Another is a patch that says, if I heard correctly, felony footlong. Anyway, this article, this is from Joyce Vance's Substack. And she argues that there's going to be jury nullification, because you're going to have 12 people who are going to be really pissed off, who are going, why did I have to spend my time away from my family, away from my work, away from other things, to sit here to listen to this stupid bullshit?
I know.
Mm-hmm.
And his vest could stop a bullet, but not a pickle.
So there you go. You go. Which I think is a nice way for us to end. Let's see. Greg, you're performing in Nashville coming up?
I'm on the road with the Who's Live guys, me, Ryan Stiles, Jeff Davis, Joel Murray, Laura Hall is our musical director. In Nashville, we're going to have Charles Chip Eston with us. Then we'll have Gary Anthony Williams with us after that. And we're all through the South for the next 2 weeks, starting on Monday. Every town with a Ville in it. Nashville, Knoxville, Louisville, and then Boone, and then New Orleans. And then we're going to do California in December. I have a new album coming out called Free State of California. If it's on a Special Thing Records. I recorded it in San Francisco at the Punchline last year, and it's full of my customary vitriol. We're showing Network at the Greg Proops Film Club. Jennifer, my wife, picks all the films. She curates the film club. We're showing Network on Thursday.
I've never seen Network, and I've always wanted to.
Are you kidding me?
I've never seen Network. I've seen the clips, of course. And I even watched the Oscars the year that he posthumously won the Academy Award for Best Actor. I was a kid. Like 9 or 10
Two very
or
quick, since I don't want to stomp on everybody else's plugs here. Two of the elements of Network that are so prescient is when Peter Finch loses his mind and starts ranting and raving, they reconstruct the evening news around him so that it's horoscopes, tabloid bullshit, a law thing where it's all salacious law. They show the news program. They don't show the whole thing. They show the preview, the promo for it. Mm-hmm. And that's the elements of the news program. There's no more nightly news with a person sitting there reading the news. And then at the end of every news program, Peter Finch comes out and rants and raves until he collapses in a heap and the crowd cheers. And that's what the national news is every night on Network.
What year was
1976. And he's allowed to rant and rave against the corporations even until he talks about a merger they want to do. And then he's called in front of the Macha, who the big panjandrum, who gives him the speech about how there's no more nations. The world is Exxon and Standard Oil and Bank of America. And you need to understand that. Never, ever interfere with our mergers. And that is one giant point in the movie. And then my other favorite element of the movie is there's a revolutionary terrorist group that goes from town to town and abducts people and kills them. And they hire them for a reality show so that each week they can go and abduct and kill people.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
And this is 1976. And the only joke that's hilarious is William Holden is a programmer and he loses his job. And he says to Faye Dunaway, who's now the head of the network or in charge of programming, she says, I wanted to do a lesbian soap opera and they shot me down. And it's like, that's the only misstep. Now, of course, there would be a lesbian soap opera, but we had one we called The L Word. But
that's right.
She says, I wanted to put a lesbian soap opera on network TV and they shot me down.
50 years ago.
So good. And she had the plot for it and everything. So it's when you see it, you'll be blown out of the water of what it consists of. No one in the movie, except for the, William Holden, who loses his job, is motivated by anything but abject self-interest, raw self-interest.
Right.
And the people that aren't, Peter Finch is mad. They've put a mad person on television. And he falls in a heap at the end of every news broadcast and the crowd cheers.
Where are you going to screen this?
At the Los Feliz 3, over in Hipster Town here in LA. I
got to come down for one of these. I love that podcast. I love it.
It's good fun. And Jennifer picks really good movies. Last month we showed Kittens. Now I can't remember. But we've been showing everything, almost everything topical, relating to what's going on now. Not maybe overtly political, but certainly in the realm of and Network is one that I think, like All the President's Men, there's some 70s movies that are so on the money now that I tried to watch On the President's Men the other night and I had to bail because it was too true.
Going back to Network for a minute.
Yes.
After spending 27 years in talk radio, the thing that we were always warned about, there are two phrases that we were not allowed to say on the radio because they are trademarked, they're copywritten. And if the phrases are, I'm not going to say them here on the podcast because I don't know what my liability is if I say them. One is from Network, which is I'm mad as, leave it there. That way I'm not saying it. And the other one is the boxing one, let's get ready to. That's what I'm saying. But those two things we were not allowed to say. Because if we said them, then the radio station or the ownership would have to pay some kind of a royalty fee. For those two, for using those two phrases.
Oh, really?
Extraordinary.
Yeah.
Well, Patty Chayefsky's screenplay is a good deal of the movie. Everybody in the movie is superb.
Yes.
The acting is superb. Faye Dunaway got the Oscar, but everyone is fabulous.
And Chayefsky, Newt's. Oh, I'm sorry, Dan. Go ahead. Dan, I didn't mean to step in. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just meant to say, just to add to Greg's point, is that Claire Bloom plays William Holden's wife, and she has just one scene, and she won an Oscar. She won Best Supporting Actress.
I'm sorry, Dan, I don't mean to be a knob. It's Beatrice Straight. She looks like Claire Bloom.
You're right. You're right. You're right. Thanks.
Right. She has one, basically she's on screen for about 7-8 minutes, but her scene is so beautifully written.
God, it's so
and
good.
Her scene is, though, you're leaving me for a younger woman. Fuck you.
Right. That's it.
She has absolutely the speech. You go ahead and leave me, but I deserve respect.
Right.
And you don't expect it from Patty Chayefsky, but Patty Chayefsky wrote Marty. And Marty, if you've ever seen Marty, is a very sensitive look at how people treat each other, personal politics.
Yeah.
Chayefsky, that Patty Chayefsky started in television along with Rod Serling, writing for Playhouse 90 and, all of the United States Steel Hour and all of those live great teleplays. But Serling came out of there, Chayefsky came out of there, and there are 3 or 4 others who ended up being great screenwriters. I want to say William Goldman came out of those.
I would say so, and maybe Richard Madison as well. Yeah. One thing that unites all 3 of those writers is they were humanists. Rod Serling was one of the great humanist writers. He served in World War II. He was repulsed by what he saw in World War II. And he made up his mind all of his TV shows were going to be absolutely about how people treat each other and personal politics. And then, of course, All the President's Men was Goldman, and he wrote Follow the Money. And no one had ever said the words follow the money in a movie before. He invented that phrase as far as we know. And, of course, he wrote Butch Cassidy, which has Who Are Those Guys?
Rod Serling's daughter Anne has a great book, by the way.
Yeah,
has a great book about her dad. She was a guest of mine, and now we're Facebook friends and holler from time to time. And Serling, you're right. His whole thing was there are so many Twilight Zones that people don't realize are about racism. There's so many. In fact, there's one. I want to say it's a Twilight Zone that's about Emmett Till and the lynching of Emmett Till, but you don't know it. But because they would allow them to do these things as long as they happened on Mars, or something like that, But he wrote a lot of stuff about racism. You can say whatever you want as long as you're cloaking it in science fiction. So he was brilliant. So your website, all of you, in fact, your social media,
GregProops.com.
Well, it's all in the show notes too, by the way. All of your social. Dan, anything you want to plug?
Just doing about like 3 or 4 privates coming up in November, and then I'll be sailing from Cabo San Lucas into San Francisco Bay.
Oh, nice.
That sounds fun.
It does.
Morning to see coming into San Francisco Bay. It's just so beautiful.
Yayne, anything you want to mention?
Well, I've taken a hiatus for a little bit. I had to regain my sanity. Went to Hawaii, and now I'll be posting more on this channel, YouTube channel. I also have relaunched my Substack, and also if you are in Tennessee's Congressional District 7, we have a special election coming up. We have not had a person in Congress in this district since July 4th, when Mark Green resigned in disgrace because, he had a bay on the side. He gave other reasons, but that's what it was. And so Afton Bain is the candidate for the Democratic Party, and she is amazing, and she is for the people. She is not about just being anti-Trump. She's about making a difference for struggling people in District 7 here in Tennessee. So if you're in Tennessee in District 7, please vote for Afton. I get to go see her on Friday with Jasmine Crockett. I'm really excited. So.
I love Jasmine Crockett. I just absolutely love Jasmine.
Yeah,
I don't know how far she's going to go. But
I'll be knocking doors. I'll be phone banking. That's what people need to do. You need to be involved. There's no more both sides or what's the point of voting. Get your ass out there, knock on doors, help raise money, find your candidate and fight for them. So.
All right. And in terms of me, just go to briancopeland.com. I've got a bunch of solo show performances that are coming up over the course of the next couple of months, and they'll all be listed there, as well as my book's out. I got a new novel that came out in April, my second, in the Topher Davis thriller series called Shadows of Justice. So check that out. Greg Proops, Yayne Abeba, Dan St. Paul, a pleasure to have all of you here, and I hope I see everybody soon. I want to thank you for listening, for watching, ask you to be sure to like and to subscribe. If you were listening to the audio version, please leave us a 5-star review. It helps people to find the show. We'll check you out next week. Till then, be kind to your neighbor. He knows where you live.